My guest today is actually going to take us through a 5-year squeeze that all began when he was becoming a dad. So I am looking forward to all the dads listening in on this, and certainly the mothers, and just anyone moving through the experiences of parenting, reparenting, and everything that that entails. And my guest today, Jelle, is going to, take us on his journey of moving beyond the squeeze. So I think what I want to do is just jump right in. Oh, we might be having a little reverb, which is perfect. That's what we all experience, these beautiful things. So, and if that happens, we will just we'll retune. Anyway, this is all about these lighthearted adventures of self-awareness and how we feel mentally empowered through the tough stuff of life. So, Yele, I'm just going to invite you to just jump right in and you know what, take us beyond a squeeze and just where are you at today, right? Like that's where it starts. Where are we today?
Today, I'm in a really solid spot. I'd say I feel 100 times bigger than I did 5 years ago, which feels great. Yeah, I'm still coming out of the squeeze, if you can call it that way, but definitely can attest to the fact that what I've been doing is working, and yeah, life is positive right now. So
Thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting. You've taken the approach of a very large journey of a squeeze. And I think that's something so true. That as we go on these deep journeys, it's like, wow, this can be like exactly this can be this big squeeze of a transformation that we know is happening, right? You intrinsically feel it and all of the
mhm.
practices you're doing. So in that, maybe start like I like this, like let's stay into the bigness of it in terms of what prompted you, what got you there, how did you decide?
Oh, to me, it's like now it's very clear. It's becoming a dad that is my squeeze. I already knew before we had our first kid. That's when I first started asking questions, and I had this like voice in my head, like, "Look at yourself. Look at yourself. This is gonna be one hell of a ride if you don't." And yeah, that's where I started, asking questions like, what is life about? Do I want to keep doing what I'm doing with kids? Is that being responsible? Is that being honest with myself? And the answer often was no, not really. Like, I feel there's more to life. And yeah, then just becoming a dad of one and eventually two kids um, it was going to university again,
Right.
but real university, like
Life University.
life university, and way more difficult than my civil engineering courses that I did at university. Way more
Right.
challenging, way more confrontational.
Right.
But to summarize, my big squeeze was,
Mm.
yeah, becoming a father.
Yeah, yeah, and beautiful. Thank you for being a conscious parent, right? Because I think I love to take that into that step of um, there's so much that the world's experiencing right now, and I mean, I know for myself and you, but this is about you. The parenting. You're talking parenting in two levels, right? You're talking about I have little ones, a wife, and this family, and I have me to parent in a different way. So can we hone into that a little bit? Just talk to
Absolutely.
me about where you're at with that, right? So, yeah. And for anybody that's listening and just kind of doesn't quite understand this reparenting and stuff, I mean, it's very much body of my work, but what is it that you're doing, right? Because and then I like to hear it from a perspective of a man doing it versus a woman sometimes too.
hmm Well, um, I think what it comes down to, like, first I was thinking, like, why is this so difficult? And, I want to make changes in the family. I want to make changes to how I am with the kids. I want to, like, sometimes expect my kids to do things differently. And like over time, I got to learn that there's a third child that I need to parent, and that's my own inner child. And if I don't handle or take care of that child that is also part of our family, then the rest will not follow. And it's been a big loop to come around to this point of like, I need to work on myself and my inner child that is living in me that I'm nurturing now
Mhm.
since a few years. And if that happens, then I can be playful with my kids. I can be comfortable them sharing their emotions because I'm comfortable with my own emotions now. I can hold space for them when they need to, and that has been the journey. They've shown me this energy of a father, but the real child that I needed to parent was myself.
Right. I want to hone in. There was one word that I grabbed out of that when you first started speaking was the expectation, right?
Hmm.
So let's go there. I just want
Yeah,
to,
I mean, the expectation, I think you do it with yourself too, is like you try to manage and control situations in life that avoid your shadow, that avoid your like challenges in life. Like you, I think you choose the job, you choose your partner in a way that like you feel comfortable with it, but you don't choose the children that you get, and they push all the buttons that make you sometimes feel uncomfortable. So the first, yeah, idea that I had is, well, I need to manage how they are
right.
in a way to protect myself.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But that's just a journey with no end, and also not a fair expectation to
Right,
have. So
right, right. And allowing you to breathe and them to
mhm,
breathe and to realize, okay, we don't know what it is. Otherwise, what's happening is we are repeating these patterns, right? And for
for sure.
everyone, we're repeating patterns that whether we get it from our parents, and certainly we do, whether we get it from the jobs, the careers, the school, the faculty, the friends, we're getting it in all of these places. So talk to me a little bit because when it comes to, yes, being a father and support system, let's go there because I think a lot of times women, and this is no general statement, but I'm going to come more from my perspective. A lot of times, women have this, we need to speak with women. And I always felt it easier to speak with men in the beginning, just because there
Hmm.
was a, right. And then later on, I learned my own healing, what had to happen, and how to balance all that out. But how is your support system, right? Because you do part of it alone, you do part of it with the support system. What's going on there, just in terms of, um,
Well, I think the fact that we have a very small support system has been a blessing and a curse. Um, yeah, as you know, we did move from Belgium, my wife and I, to Canada to start a new life and start a family, and that comes with not having aunts and uncles around, not having grandparents around, which is often what you go to if you need help. Um, and yeah, like we have people around us that we can call in case of emergencies, but it's not a kind of repeated support. That it's not that every Sunday someone comes along and helps us. So yeah, it's been putting a lot of pressure on the relationship with my wife, and just overall keeping this small bubble that we operate in a healthy one.
mhm. So then how are you expanding out? Because now with 2 kids, what do you do, right? Like, you're in a neighborhood that, do you have opportunities, like, you're out in the neighborhood? Because I think there's different dynamics that we all experience, and
Hmm.
just, yeah. So
Yeah,
what is helping you? Because certainly you moved here 6, 7 years ago, whatever it is now, and yeah, anchoring in and finding people, and then, you know what, as you move, it's like, do these people fit into my world? And right, and all of that.
hmm
So how does that play a factor? Because you have the kids, and you are coming from a different sort of perspective now.
yes, it's still slow. Again, because our last couple of years have been really challenging, it hasn't been so easy to make a lot of connections, um, to be open, and also to invite people into our bubble.
Mhm.
recently, like things have been going a lot better. We made friends with um, this older couple that my wife met through her new hobby, which is ballroom dancing, and
Nice.
they're very welcoming. It's a way to expose our kids also to an older generation. And um, the last winter, every Sunday, our kids would go swimming in their condo.
Mm.
Um, so that's been like nurturing the kids, and it's given us some time to do other things in the house and just take a break. And then that person has also offered to come babysit a little more often, and we've had regular babysitters that also that we kept um, coming back so that our kids get to know other people. And obviously in the summer it's way easier to go to the playground, meet up with kids, meet up with other parents. And yeah, we see like my son is a very social
Mm.
being, and he loves to hang around, and it just makes things easier. I feel like that door is opening up
Right.
faster and faster and more.
Right.
Um,
And that even as you're saying that, it's interesting because there are people, and I think a lot of people have this label of I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert, I like people, I need people, or I don't, and all this stuff. Except it's in a space. What's coming up for me is as you say, the door's opening more and more. It is opening, and we get to open it, right? We get to step into that, right? No
mhm,
different parenting. How am I going to do that differently? And then where are the expectations? I know for me, it was like, oh my gosh, you have these expectations of what you thought friendship was, or what you thought it
mhm,
to have a tribe or a village or support or whatever. And then it became, okay, well, what am I doing to help that to happen, right? To support myself, because it's through those edges, right? Like we gotta, okay, what's the next step, and what's the next step? And when it becomes such this overwhelm for people, and I guess I wanted to bring it up because I can sense that and we hear it, but I definitely can feel into it that um, people have a difficult time with connecting with people and then maintaining that, right?
mhm,
To really maintain it. Um, and sometimes, like for me, I needed to sort of step back and be like, okay, are my expectations on these people that I need to see them this much? Do I have expectations of what it's supposed to look like? Or can I just open myself to whatever's going to happen and what I get to experience, just like the kids would? It's going to be okay.
mhm,
Right. And that allowed me to, because I remember, I mean, I've moved here many years ago now, but the same thing with coming here, and not, I had my sister, so a little different, and my niece, but even still, it was until I started to reframe and just see who are the people that I want to meet and what's going to come of it. And, because we met early on, and then,
yeah,
things dissipate. And yet there can be a beautiful reconnection right away. And I think there's that piece that happens with our neighbors, with friends, with people in the past. You go home and you reconnect with people. That it is kind of happening all the time. So does that add an element for you, or is that how you sort of see it? Because I think the kids, back to when you said your kid's such a like that your son's such a social being, right? And you're like, okay, I'm
mhm.
gonna get back into that. So how do you play that part, Dad?
Well, we try to nurture his needs by organizing play dates and making sure we get out of the house. But when it comes to myself, I just try to be honest with myself. And if I feel a pressure that I need to reconnect because it's expected to do so, I cannot take on that extra role or responsibility
Right.
if it doesn't feel genuine, if it doesn't feel right.
Right.
And yeah, that's something that I've learned to let go of more than it's something that I'm practicing. It's more like, no, if I want to, I'll reach out. If I don't want to, I will not. What's interesting is recently I've joined a men's group in Ottawa,
Okay. Great.
and
Yeah, I love it.
that has been something that surprised me a lot in a way that I feel welcome in that space. And maybe for the first time in a long time, I feel like, oh, I want to have more of this. It doesn't feel like it's an extra task or an obligation to be there. It's actually a space where I want to be.
Right.
And I find it really hard to just randomly connect with people and small talk. I'm
Okay.
not wired that way,
Okay.
specifically. So yeah, it's rare that I find something or someone that I feel drawn to after.
Hmm.
Um,
So let's go there because you said something about even, when you feel it. So let's talk. I mean, I'm a big feeler and I use my intuition in many ways. So do you look at
mhm,
that as intuition, or how did you hone that, or how do you continue to, navigate that and practice that? Because that's a beautiful way when we can really connect with, does this feel good for me? How do you do that? Or what do you do? Or is there a practice that you can share that you
mm.
might?
I think it's more intuitive. Like if I go home with a sense of curiosity of like, oh, I like that interaction. I just want to know more. It feels right to me. It feels genuine. I feel nourished after the interaction.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'm like, okay, that it just sits right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's also I'm way more inclined then to check in with those people and just ask them like randomly, like, how are you doing?
Right.
How's your
Right.
day going?
Mhm.
Um, and it's just like, yeah, once I feel like, oh, I'm thinking about this person with everything else going on, apparently I still have like room in my head to make time for that person mentally. I'm
Mm,
like, I know, oh, that seems, I'm drawn to this, so I'll follow it.
right. Love it. And the word you used that I love, curiosity, because I think that is that childlike part of us, right? When we can
Hmm.
when we can sense it, right? And talking about your kids and the emotions around it, it's like, because that is that part of this whole thing about the feeling, right? Mentally empowered. It's our emotions and it's our mind. And how do we navigate those things together so that we aren't stuck up here doing so much,
Hmm.
right?
But I think I had to let go of this, a big component of kind of growing up with this idea of you have to maintain relationships. It's you
Mhm.
let people down if you don't call them after a week. And
Right.
this constant pressure almost made me avoid relationships because I felt like once I step into it, I have all these obligations to follow and all these boxes to check. I don't even want to go there. I don't have like the capacity to even live up to those rules, so to speak.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, so I think curiosity is one part, but also yeah, allowing yourself to let it be what's good for you and
Mhm.
not what
Mhm.
what the expectation or the culture expect from. It's the same thing as like where do you meet people.
Right.
I stopped like I stopped drinking,
Mhm.
um not on purpose. It's just like it's a habit that kind of like peeled off more and
Yeah.
more. And so yeah, meeting a new friend, it's like the first thing is, oh, let's go for beers, but I don't want to be put in that position that culturally is the norm to go for beers if you meet a friend.
Right.
um so it's always this awkward moment of like, that's not what we're going to do. Are we going to go for a hike? Do we
Right.
grab a coffee?
Right.
But that's not me. And I'm more and more comfortable just asking what I need and
Right. Yeah.
seeing
But
where it goes.
yeah, I love it. And that for me is the curiosity to keep asking those questions and keep, like you said, the intuition that naturally comes and trusting that for yourself, right? And
Hmm.
exploring that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. Yeah, yeah. And it is. It's because at the end of the day, we are the ones that live with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We're realizing there's no map to this, and yet there's so many expectations that have been put on us, right? Or that we perceive them to be, or they
Hmm.
just come culturally from somewhere. And then you move, because I've heard this from so many people, culturally you move and there's an expectation because your family is, you're the one leaving, and what are you doing now, and what makes you so different, and are you also maintaining all of this cultural stuff, and right, so that world, you're pulled between two worlds, right,
Yeah.
in many ways. So let's go to what's a practice that you do to just continue to stay in your own self-awareness, right? So that you're discovering more of you. What's a practice that and I say practice is something that you sort of continue, right? Doing often enough.
Yeah, I mean, the one that stands out, that's really a practice is a morning meditation.
Mm-hmm,
Just a
hmm.
before the house wakes up, before I look at any screens or taking any other information. It's just 20 minutes of, yeah, my
You,
meditation. And
yeah.
that is like you sink into yourself. And so
Mhm.
throughout the day, it's so easy to recognize when interactions or moments or even food or something that's aligned with yourself or not. You
Right.
have this like you're dialed into yourself in the morning, and so everything that deviates from it, it's so obvious to know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the power of meditation for people, and there's so many different kinds, but I'm with you. The morning meditation is a big, big thing.
Hmm.
Um, we're sort of at 20-ish minutes, and I just want to sort
Hey,
of
that was
get to
quick.
one more. I want to get to one more piece, though. Where is
Yeah.
where's the laughter? Do you find the laughter on the other side? I know, and it's an interesting one, right? Because I know for me, and I wholeheartedly believe that on that other side is the growth, the expansion, and the laughter. Something that comes about that changes that vibration in us, however one wants to sort of articulate that. But where does that come from?
Hmm.
Where do you find those moments, or is there one that you can share?
I think that's maybe where we are different.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's not so much laughter, but it's a call for even more action and even more being honest with myself. And I feel kind of transforming from this shy boy almost that found his way to like navigate life to becoming this stronger and stronger rooted man that knows what he wants and wants to march forward steadily. And yeah, I feel like I said in the beginning, like 100 times bigger, and it's not. Um, I'm not even exaggerating.
Right.
I
No,
feel
no.
so much more here and ready and strong, and that puts a smile on my face.
Okay, so there it is.
Just
Right.
just knowing that instead of I often compare the effect of my practice as instead of being a rocket ship going in space and like collecting pieces out of the universe, going to look for it, and that costs energy. I feel like more and more I'm this like body that is accumulating mass, and everything that's in my orbit kind of like I absorb it more and more. So instead of doing effort and pleasing people and reaching out, it's more I'm just getting more and more dense and bigger and attracting things.
Right.
And that feeling is amazing. It
Right.
just feels great. And I that to me, like I'm smiling now because it just feels like
That's what I.
life is working
Yeah.
and things are, yeah,
Yeah.
working out. So
And I do. I love that you say that because I know that I'm a lappy. That is who I
hmm.
am. That exudes from me. I've always been that. And yet the more you talk about it, and this is it, when you drop into it, whatever that is, there's a smile because there's such a, I know from my own when I was going through it, it's like, okay, when is this going to really feel like, right? And it's when you, like you're saying, and again, it comes in different ways for people, but when you feel that warmth in who you are, it's like, wow, I'm the only one that really knows how proud I am, how grounded
Hmm.
I am, how centered I am, how more of me I am, right? And that is what will light you up. However you choose to express it, fine. But you even saying,
Hmm.
this does make me smile. And I think why I even draw that out more for people. Because when we and this is me as part of a practice and something I learned and continue to cultivate is when we take that smile and we're like, yes, right? I don't need
Hmm.
anybody else to kudo me, but I'm like, geez, yes, we're doing this. Right? Which keeps that fullness in us. And again, however,
Hmm.
high five it. It's just like you were saying, so much it's out there, right? High five everyone else and you're doing great. It's like, hold on. This is me. I'm doing this great stuff for me. This is amazing, right? So
Hmm.
part of the Oh my God, right? Because the power of our own we're speaking to ourselves all the time anyway, right? So the power of our hands and our touch and our this on our own being and speaking to ourselves in different ways and congratulating ourselves, that's part of that. Oh my gosh, yes. It's me for me. And because when I can
Yes.
do that, I then get to honor people very differently and allow
Hmm.
that space to do it however they choose to, right? Because that's what makes it interesting. We're all going to do it in different ways, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Okay, well, there we are. Is there anything else you want to add or you wanted to share? Because I know it was just to have these short conversations and I totally appreciate it. Thank you so much for,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was amazing. I'm
yeah.
surprised how fast
I
20
know.
minutes flew
I know,
by.
me too. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm going to say on behalf of anybody else that loves the new conscious parenting, and I'm going from two ways: people that have children because I do not, and for those that are doing the inner work, right? That deep inner work. Thank you. And to anyone that's listening, if you do struggle with that or want to ask us questions, do that as well. So thank you again, Jelle, and to everybody that's
Thank
watching.
you, Donna.
See you again soon. Keep giggling, keep growing, and keep shining bright. However that is for you. Okay, take care.